Yeah, hip hop, I'm singing love, and it's what I got. Cause when the loving was gone, I learned to play the blues through Stevie Ray Vaughan. I needed music, but all the ways to help me deal. And now I'm loving my guitar, the way the baby love is here. Can you feel it? Yeah, I'm like 6 damn strings, never said it, so I'm feeling. Can you feel it? Yeah, I'm like, once you got the mic, you better sing like you live, like you live.
What makes Woodlands Senior? Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Every single morning, millions of people over 60 wake up, pour themselves a glass of plain water, and think they are doing the right thing for their brain. And they are partly right. Hydration matters. Nobody is arguing that. But here is what nobody is telling you, and what most doctors do not even bring up during a 10-minute appointment. Plain water, on its own, is only doing half the job. And after the age of 60, half the job is simply not enough. Your brain is not the same organ it was at 35. It is working harder, it is fighting harder, and it needs more than just water to stay sharp, to stay clear, and to keep functioning the way you need it to. Now I know that sounds bold, and I know you might be thinking water is water. What more could it possibly need? But stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly what to add to your water, what foods to eat, what the science actually says about brain repair after 60. And I am going to share something at the very end of this video that most health channels will never tell you. Something that could genuinely change how you think about your brain health forever. Do not go anywhere. And if you have not subscribed yet, hit that button right now, because what we share here every week is exactly this kind of information. Science-backed, plain-spoken, and built for people who are serious about living well. Now, before we get into what you should be adding, let us talk about why the brain after 60 is so different, because this is the foundation of everything. When you were younger, your brain had what scientists call a very high rate of neuroplasticity. That is just a fancy way of saying your brain was flexible, it could learn fast, recover fast, rewire itself fast. But as we age, that flexibility starts to slow down. The neurons, those are your brain cells, they do not communicate as quickly. The connections between them weaken. The protective coating around your nerve fibers, called myelin, starts to thin out. And here is something that most people do not know. After 60, the blood-brain barrier, which is basically the security system that protects your brain from harmful substances, starts to become more permeable. That means more inflammation can get through, more toxins, more damage. And if you are only drinking plain water, you are hydrating your body, yes, but you are not giving your brain the raw materials it needs to fight that inflammation, rebuild those connections, or slow that thinning down. And here is the part that should really make you sit up straight. Studies from the National Institute on Aging have found that cognitive decline is not inevitable. It is not just something that happens because you got older. It is heavily influenced by what you put into your body every single day. That means what you drink in the morning matters more than you think. So what happens when you start adding the right things to your water? I will tell you in just a moment. But first, you need to understand one thing that is quietly working against your brain every single day. And most people have absolutely no idea it is even happening. Inflammation, chronic low-grade inflammation in the brain. Scientists have actually given it a name. They call it neuroinflammation. And for people over 60, it is one of the biggest silent threats to memory, focus, and mental clarity. It does not come with obvious symptoms at first. You do not feel it burning. You do not wake up and think, my brain is inflamed today. What you feel instead is that you walked into a room and forgot why you went in there. You feel like the word you are looking for is just at the tip of your tongue, but it will not come out. You feel like conversations take more effort to follow. You feel more mentally tired by the afternoon, even though you barely did anything in the morning. That is neuroinflammation talking. And plain water does not touch it. Plain water cannot cross the blood-brain barrier carrying anti-inflammatory compounds because it does not have any. But certain natural additions to your water absolutely can. And before I tell you exactly what those are, I want to make you a promise. Stay until the end of this video because I am going to share one specific combination, one pairing of ingredients that a study published in the journal Nutrients found to be more effective at improving cognitive function in older adults than any single supplement alone. That combination is simple. It is cheap. And it is almost certainly sitting in your kitchen right now. But you have to stay with me, because the order in which you combine these things matters. And I will explain exactly why at the end. So let us start with the first and most powerful addition you can make to your water, turmeric. Now I know you have probably heard of turmeric. Maybe you have seen it in a golden latte at a coffee shop. Maybe someone told you it is good for your joints. And that is true, it is wonderful for inflammation in the body, but what most people do not realize is that the active compound in turmeric called curcumin is one of the very few natural substances that has been shown in peer-reviewed research to actually cross the blood-brain barrier. Let me say that again because it is important. It can get into your brain, and once it is there, curcumin does something remarkable. It reduces the buildup of amyloid plaques. Those are the sticky protein deposits that are found in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. Research published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease showed that curcumin not only helps prevent new plaques from forming, but may actually help break down existing ones. Now that is extraordinary. That is not a supplement company telling you that. That is peer-reviewed science. And beyond plaques, curcumin stimulates the production of something called BDNF, which stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain cells. It helps new neurons grow. It helps existing ones survive longer. It helps the connections between your brain cells stay strong and active. People with low BDNF levels have higher rates of depression, memory loss, and cognitive decline. People who increase their BDNF levels start to notice sharper recall, better mood, and clearer thinking. So how do you add turmeric to your water? Simple. Half a teaspoon of turmeric powder in a warm glass of water every morning. But here is the critical part that most people skip. And this is where it starts to get really interesting. Curcumin on its own is not easily absorbed by your body. Your digestive system processes it so quickly that very little actually makes it into your bloodstream and even less reaches your brain.
Motherhood is hard, and feeling blue is one thing, but this may be something more. It could be postpartum depression or PPD. As many as 1 in 8 women feel symptoms of PPD.
This is a well-documented problem in nutritional science, but researchers found a solution that has been sitting in your spice rack your whole life: black pepper, specifically a compound in black pepper called piperine. When you combine curcumin with piperine, the absorption of curcumin increases by up to 2,000%. That is not a typo. 2,000%. A tiny pinch of black pepper in your turmeric water every morning transforms a mildly helpful drink into a genuinely powerful brain-supporting tonic. And here is where things get even more interesting, because adding one more ingredient turns this simple drink into something the research calls a synergistic cognitive cocktail. But I will get to that third ingredient in just a moment. First, I want to talk about something that almost nobody over 60 is told about their brain. And it involves a type of fat that most people have been wrongly told to avoid for decades. For years, we were told fat was the enemy. Low fat this, fat free that. And for a generation of Americans who grew up in that era, the message stuck. But here is what the science is now telling us very clearly. Your brain is nearly 60% fat. More than half of your brain is made of fatty tissue. And the most important type of fat for brain function are omega-3 fatty acids, specifically two forms called DHA and EPA. DHA, which stands for docosahexaenoic acid, makes up a massive portion of the gray matter in your brain. It is literally a structural component of your brain cells. Without enough DHA, the membranes of your neurons become stiff and rigid instead of flexible and fluid. And when neuron membranes are stiff, signals travel more slowly between brain cells. Your thinking slows down, your recall slows down, your reaction time slows down. Research from the University of Oxford found that older adults with low DHA levels perform significantly worse on memory tests than those with adequate levels. And here's the alarming reality. Most Americans over 60 are chronically deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. Not a little low, significantly low, because the modern American diet is heavily loaded with omega-6 fatty acids found in vegetable oils, processed foods, and fast food, and those omega-6s compete with omega-3s for absorption in your body. So even if you eat some fish occasionally, the balance may still be off. The foods highest in the right kind of omega-3s for brain health are fatty fish: salmon, mackerel, sardines, anchovies, and herring. These are not expensive luxury foods. A can of sardines costs less than $1. A can of wild-caught salmon is $2 or $3 at most grocery stores, and if you eat these foods 3 times a week, you are giving your brain something it cannot manufacture on its own. But what if you do not like fish? What if the smell puts you off? Stay with me, because I have an alternative coming that works just as well, and it connects directly to that promise I made you a few minutes ago. Now I want to talk about the most underappreciated organ when it comes to brain health. And no, it is not your heart. It is your gut. I know that might sound strange. What does your gut have to do with your brain? Everything, everything. Scientists have discovered what they call the gut-brain axis. It is a direct two-way communication highway between your digestive system and your brain. 90% of your serotonin, the neurotransmitter responsible for mood, emotional regulation, and sleep, is produced in your gut, not your brain. And when your gut microbiome, the community of trillions of bacteria living in your intestines, is out of balance, it sends inflammatory signals directly to your brain through that communication highway. Research published in the journal Cell has shown that people with a diverse, healthy gut microbiome have significantly lower rates of cognitive decline as they age. And people with disrupted gut bacteria, which is extremely common after 60 because the microbiome naturally loses diversity with age, show higher rates of brain fog, depression, anxiety, and memory problems. So what feeds a healthy gut microbiome? Fermented foods and prebiotic fiber. Fermented foods like plain yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and miso contain live probiotic bacteria that replenish and diversify your gut. And prebiotic fiber, found in foods like garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, and bananas, feeds those good bacteria so they can thrive. Now here is what most people do not think about. When you take care of your gut, you're also taking care of your brain. Every bite of kimchi, every spoonful of yogurt, every garlic clove in your dinner is a message to your brain that says, I am taking care of you. And your brain remembers that, literally. But there is one specific prebiotic that has shown results so remarkable in brain health research that when I tell you what it is, you are going to wonder why you have never heard of it before. And you are going to find out in just a minute. That prebiotic is inulin. It is a type of soluble fiber found naturally in chicory root, Jerusalem artichokes, dandelion greens, and garlic. Inulin feeds a specific strain of gut bacteria called Bifidobacterium, and when Bifidobacterium thrive, they produce short-chain fatty acids that travel up the gut-brain axis and reduce inflammation in the brain directly. A clinical trial conducted at King's College London found that older adults who supplemented with inulin for 12 weeks showed measurable improvements in attention, processing speed, and memory recall compared to a control group.
Anyone who wants it can come get it. That includes you too.
Nobody's untouchable.
12 weeks. That is 3 months of consistently feeding the right bacteria, and people started thinking more clearly. Now you can get inulin as a supplement, or you can simply eat more garlic, more dandelion greens in a salad, and more chicory-based products. Some people add inulin powder to their morning turmeric water, and when you combine inulin with turmeric and black pepper, you are starting to build something that genuinely works on multiple levels simultaneously. Anti-inflammatory, neuroprotective, and gut-supportive all in one glass. But we are not done yet, because there is one more thing that belongs in this picture that most people are chronically deficient in after 60, and it is something your brain simply cannot repair itself without. And when I reveal exactly what it is, I want you to pay very close attention, because this might be the most important thing I say today. Magnesium, specifically a form called magnesium L-threonate. Now, regular magnesium is important for hundreds of bodily functions, but magnesium L-threonate is uniquely special because it is one of the only forms of magnesium that has been shown in clinical research to actually cross the blood-brain barrier in significant amounts. And what does it do once it gets there? It increases the density of synapses in the brain. Synapses are the connection points between your neurons. They are the actual physical structures through which your brain cells talk to each other. When you have more synaptic density, your brain can process more information, store more memories, and retrieve them faster. Research from MIT published in the journal Neuron found that magnesium L-threonate increased synaptic density in aging brain tissue and significantly improved both short-term and long-term memory in older subjects. And here is the frightening statistic. Up to 68% of Americans do not meet the recommended daily intake for magnesium. And that number gets worse after 60 because older kidneys are less efficient at retaining magnesium, and many common medications including diuretics, proton pump inhibitors, and some blood pressure drugs actively deplete magnesium from your body. Foods rich in magnesium include dark leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard, pumpkin seeds, dark chocolate, avocado, black beans, and almonds. But given how widespread the deficiency is, many people over 60 benefit significantly from supplementing with magnesium L-threonate specifically. And now we are getting very close to the full picture, because all of these pieces, turmeric with black pepper, omega-3s, inulin, magnesium, they are powerful on their own. But there is a way to combine them that creates something more powerful than any single one alone. And that is the promise I made you at the beginning of this video. I told you I would share a specific combination at the end. We are almost there. But first I need to tell you about something that could undo everything we have discussed so far if you are not careful. And this part is serious. Sugar. Processed sugar, refined carbohydrates, and high fructose corn syrup are to your brain what termites are to a wooden house. You cannot see the damage happening, but it is happening every single day. When blood sugar spikes repeatedly, it triggers an inflammatory response throughout the body, including the brain. Chronic high blood sugar damages the small blood vessels that supply oxygen and nutrients to brain tissue. It promotes the formation of a harmful process called glycation, where sugar molecules attach to proteins in your body and make them stiff and dysfunctional. Brain tissue is particularly vulnerable to this. In fact, some researchers have started informally calling Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes because of how strongly insulin resistance in the brain is linked to cognitive decline. A large study from the journal Diabetologia, tracking more than 5,000 adults over a decade, found that people with chronically elevated blood sugar had a significantly steeper rate of cognitive decline than those with normal blood sugar, and that this relationship was continuous, meaning even moderate elevations that do not qualify as diabetes were still causing measurable harm to the brain over time. So when you are thinking about brain health, you cannot separate it from blood sugar management. Every time you eat a cookie, a piece of white bread, a sugary breakfast cereal, or drink a sweetened beverage, you are triggering a cascade that works directly against everything I have been telling you about today. And the cruel irony is that sugar also disrupts your gut microbiome, killing off the beneficial bacteria that protect your brain, which means it is attacking from two directions at once. Now, I'm not saying you can never enjoy something sweet, but I am saying that if you are serious about protecting your memory and keeping your mind sharp into your 70s, 80s, and beyond, sugar has to be treated as a serious threat, not an occasional indulgence. And there is one natural alternative that actually supports brain health while satisfying a sweet craving. Can you guess what it is? You will find out in the next section. Your liver. I know. You came here to learn about your brain, but your liver is your brain's silent partner. Here is why. Your liver filters toxins from your blood. It metabolizes hormones, processes nutrients, and produces bile to break down fats, including the omega-3 fatty acids we discussed. When your liver is sluggish or under stress, toxins that should be filtered out start circulating longer in your bloodstream. And some of those toxins eventually reach your brain. A compromised liver also struggles to maintain healthy cholesterol levels, and your brain is made of cholesterol. Not the bad kind, the structural kind that your brain literally needs to function. Alcohol, even moderate drinking, takes a significant toll on liver function and has been directly linked in multiple studies to accelerated brain aging and increased dementia risk in people over 60.
Maine Housing hopes eligible Mainers buy, rent, heat, and repair their homes. Visit mainehousing.org to see if you qualify.
Still, on the bubble out the woods with the shiners.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew. For a living, I cut hair. I'm a barber. When I'm barbering, I try to stay fully focused on my client's hair, where every detail counts. But oftentimes I have to look in the mirror just to check for symmetry. And when I look in the mirror, I get distracted by my forehead lines. Happy slide.
Environmental toxins, processed food additives, and certain medications add additional burden. The good news is that your liver is one of the most regenerative organs in your body. It responds quickly to the right support. Milk thistle, specifically the active compound silymarin, has been shown in research to protect liver cells from damage and support regeneration. Bitter greens like arugula, endive, and dandelion stimulate bile production and improve the liver's detoxification capacity. And something as simple as starting your morning with warm water and fresh lemon juice has been shown to stimulate liver activity and improve bile flow. Now add your turmeric, your black pepper, your raw honey, and your pinch of inulin to that lemon water, and you are now drinking something that works for your liver and your brain simultaneously. That is smart medicine. That is what your body is asking for. And I told you I would reveal that specific combination at the end. Here it comes. The combination that the research in the journal Nutrients pointed to as producing the strongest cognitive improvements in older adults was not a pharmaceutical. It was not a complicated supplement stack. It was a synergistic combination of curcumin from turmeric paired with a fat source to improve absorption, a prebiotic fiber to support the gut-brain axis, and an antioxidant to reduce oxidative stress in brain tissue simultaneously. When you combine warm water with the juice of half a fresh lemon, half a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, a small drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, which serves as the fat that dramatically improves curcumin absorption beyond even what piperine achieves on its own, a quarter teaspoon of inulin powder, and half a teaspoon of raw honey, and you drink this every single morning on an empty stomach, you are hitting 5 different brain protective pathways at once. You are reducing neuroinflammation. You are feeding your gut-brain axis. You are improving the absorption of your most powerful neuroprotective compound. You are protecting your liver. And you are giving your body a gentle antioxidant flood first thing in the morning before anything else can compete for absorption. This is not a miracle drink. I want to be very clear about that. It is not going to reverse Alzheimer's. It is not going to erase damage that has built up over decades, but it is one of the most science-supported, simple, affordable, and genuinely effective morning habits that people over 60 can adopt to slow the rate of cognitive decline, protect what they have, and in many cases sharpen what they thought they had already lost. And when you combine this morning drink with the foods we discussed, fatty fish 3 times a week, dark leafy greens daily, fermented foods like yogurt or kimchi regularly, garlic and onions cooked into your meals, and a serious reduction in processed sugar, you are not just drinking better water, you are building a completely different relationship with your brain. One built on respect, on intention, and on the understanding that your brain, at 60 or 70 or 80, still has the capacity to adapt, to strengthen, and to surprise you. Now I want to talk about one more thing before I close, because I genuinely believe this is the most humanly important point of this entire conversation. And I say that after everything we have already covered today. Because all the science, all the ingredients, all the morning drinks in the world mean nothing if you do not first believe that what you do still matters. And that is the problem. A lot of people over 60 have been told, in ways that were not always gentle or kind, that decline is just part of getting older, that forgetting things is normal, that slowing down is simply the way it goes, that your best years of mental sharpness are already behind you. And I want to push back on that with everything I have, because that message is not only discouraging, it is not fully supported by the science we have today. Yes, some changes do come with age. That is real, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. Your brain at 65 is not identical to your brain at 35. Processing speed does change. Reaction time does slow. Some degree of memory adjustment is a normal part of the aging process. Nobody is denying that. But here's the critical distinction that most people are never taught. There is a massive difference between normal age-related change and accelerated disease-driven decline. And the research is now showing us very clearly that the second category, the scary one, the one that steals people's independence and identity, is far more influenced by lifestyle than genetics. Far more. A growing body of research is showing that lifestyle factors, the things you eat, how much you move, how well you sleep, how you manage stress, and how socially connected you stay, account for the vast majority of the variance in how our brains age over time. These are not minor contributors sitting at the edges of the picture. They are central to it. The Alzheimer's Association has stated that up to 40% of dementia cases worldwide may be preventable or at least significantly delayable through lifestyle modification alone. 40%. I want you to sit with that number for a moment. That is not a small finding buried in an obscure journal. That is nearly half of all dementia cases potentially being influenced by choices that are within your control. Choices like what you put in your water every morning. Choices like whether you eat fatty fish this week or whether you skip it. Choices like whether you take a walk around the block today or whether you sit for another 3 hours. These choices are not trivial. They are accumulating in your brain right now in one direction or another every single day. And the earlier you start making better choices, the stronger the protective effect becomes. That is true, but here's the thing I really need you to hear. Because I know some of you watching this are 70 or 75, and you are thinking it is probably too late for me.
He taught you to treat others with respect, and that throwing a ball like a girl is a compliment. He tucked you in at night, drove hours to help you move into your very...
I have already lost too much time, and I want to look you directly in the eye and tell you that is not what the research says. The brain responds to positive changes at any age. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself to form new connections to adapt, never fully disappears. Not at 70, not at 80, not at 85. Studies have shown measurable improvements in memory and cognitive function in adults well into their 8th decade when they made consistent dietary and lifestyle changes. Your brain is not a fixed, static object that peaked decades ago and has been fading ever since. It is a living, dynamic, responsive organ that is waiting for better raw materials to work with. It can still grow new connections, it can still benefit from better nutrition, it can still quiet the inflammation that has been quietly building up for years. Your brain has not given up on you. The question, the only real question, is whether you are going to give up on it. So here's exactly what I want you to walk away with today. Concrete steps. Not vague advice, not someday goals. Things you can actually do starting tomorrow morning. Instead of a plain glass of water, make yourself this drink. Take a mug of warm water, not boiling, just comfortably warm, and squeeze in the juice of half a fresh lemon. Add half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. Add a pinch of black pepper, and I mean just a small pinch. You will not taste it, but it does its job. Add a small drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, about half a teaspoon, and this is the step most people miss because it is what unlocks the full power of the curcumin. Add a quarter teaspoon of inulin powder if you have access to it, and if not, start looking for it because it is inexpensive and widely available. Finish it with half a teaspoon of raw honey and stir it all together. Drink it first thing in the morning before coffee, before breakfast, on an empty stomach so absorption is at its highest. This drink costs less than a cup of coffee to make. It takes 3 minutes from start to finish, and it is doing more active work to support your brain than anything most people in this country are doing in their entire morning routine. Beyond the drink, add fatty fish to your meals at least 3 times this week. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, whatever you enjoy and can access. Put garlic and onions in everything you cook because they are feeding the gut bacteria that protect your brain. Eat some plain yogurt with breakfast. Try even just a tablespoon of sauerkraut alongside your next meal and notice how your digestion feels afterward. Cut back on the sugar, not perfectly, just meaningfully. Swap the...
Yeah, someone in class said that when they juice a lemon, they'll juice a couple of them. So that's 4 halves. And then they'll put the other 3 halves in a container, sealed container in the fridge. And then for 3 mornings, they don't have to do the squeezing of the lemon process. It's already ready to go in the fridge, nice and cold. That makes sense. Yeah, and don't forget, if you want to eat a lemon seed or 2 here or there, not necessarily every day. They say you don't want to overdo it, but lemon seeds, yeah, a lot of good benefits.
The sweetened beverages for water with lemon. Get outside for a 20-minute walk because physical movement is one of the single most powerful stimulators of BDNF, that brain fertilizer we talked about earlier, and it costs you nothing. Put your phone down an hour before bed and protect your deep sleep, because that is when your brain activates its glymphatic system and literally flushes out the toxic waste products that accumulate during the day. Sleep is not laziness. Sleep is maintenance, and your brain cannot repair itself without it. The next time someone tells you that forgetting things is just your age, I want you to remember every single thing you heard today. Because science does not say your decline is inevitable. Science says your brain is waiting for better support, and now you know how to give it. If this video gave you something real today, something you are going to use, something that shifted how you think about your own brain, please hit that subscribe button right now, because this is what we do here every single week. Real science, plain language, no hype, no miracle cures, no selling you something that does not work. Just honest, research-backed information delivered the way it should be, like one person talking to another about something that actually matters. Share this video with someone you love who is over 60, because this information could genuinely change their quality of life in ways they are not expecting. Leave a comment below telling me which part of today surprised you the most, or which step you are going to try first. I read every single comment and I respond to as many as I can. Your voice matters in this conversation, and I will leave you with this. Your brain built everything you are, every memory you treasure, every skill you spent years developing, every relationship you have ever loved, every laugh you have ever had, every lesson that shaped who you became, it all lives there. In that extraordinary organ sitting inside your head right now, working for you, fighting for you, still capable of far more than anyone may have told you. Treat it with the respect it has earned. Take care of it like your life depends on it, because it does.
Every stage I blow it, you gotta see it to believe it. It's phenomenal, because I know it bothers you. The way I spit miracles, the way God do. No blasphemy. You need that New York heat? Ask for me. It's T.O.N.Easy. I wish my brother was still alive so he could see his little bro spit gems to survive.